Hey, what's up, guys? It's Gathalion. Since playing Biomutant on stream, I'm pretty much constantly asked for my thoughts on the game, which is understood because this is a game I had talked about for a long time, as did a lot of folks. I think it was announced or first teased a little over 4 years ago, around 4 years ago. And since then, I was pretty much obsessed with it, man. Anytime news came out, it was really exciting. You know, obviously, I was a big fan of Breath of the Wild, and the developers even likened it to Breath of the Wild more than once. So suffice to say, I was thrilled. And finally, this year on May 25th, the game came out. I was super stoked. But what we ended up getting in this game wasn't quite up to what I had expected. And that's not to say that I think this is a terrible game by any means. But I will say that I was a little bit let down by it. So this will be a quick and dirty overview review of Biomutant. So stick with me on this. To start out, the game is lush. It's beautiful. It's one of the most visually striking games I've played in a long time. Everything from world design to character design to enemy design is A+, man. It really shows that the devs put a ton of time and effort into making their game feel unique, feel beautiful, good to run around in, good to look at. But that's about as far to me as it goes for world building and how good the world building is. And we're going to start getting into some of my grievances with the game. And before we get into that, I will go ahead and say that they have planned a series of patches for the game that are supposed to improve upon a lot of the stuff that I've actually complained about on stream, and you'll hear me talk about in this video. So obviously those improvements will change the user experience quite a bit. So bear that in mind when you're listening to this. Stop hitting me, guy. Anyways, so basically when the game first came out, I had early access by one day. I got to load it up on Monday the 24th, and I was like upset because the narrative in this game, and this is probably the biggest pain point for me, the narrative of this game lacks continuity. It lacks context, even like sentence to sentence from NPCs or even responses to things that you say to them make little to no sense at all. The world building, character building, personality building, lore building that they've done for Biomutant is basically non-existent. And I think that's really taken away from my experience of running around in this beautiful world, because you'll run up on a village. The village will be teeming with characters and life and vibrancy and its own visual personality. But unfortunately, that visual personality never really gets conveyed in such a way that makes an area feel special or different, to be honest with you. And that's been one of my biggest offputs while doing my playthrough. I'm now on a New Game Plus, and I did go through the whole game completely before making a final verdict on it. So I would say the writing and the way that the world is conveyed to us is probably the worst part about the game. And I think when it comes to a single player game, you need to have a solid story, or at least one that has some semblance of cohesion. So that's really my biggest complaint about Biomutant, because I really want to fall in love with this world. I love these characters. I love how weird it is. I love the little gibberish that they speak when you run up on an NPC and start talking to them. I like that because I found those things endearing in games like Animal Crossing as well. But those characters were well written. I don't feel like a single character in Biomutant is written well whatsoever. So I feel like it really takes away from the experience of not only going through the story, but exploration. So that's probably like my biggest meh about the game. Other than that, combat is okay. Currently, combat lacks a little bit of audio or sometimes even visual feedback for melee, but this is something they said they're going to address. So combat feels pretty good. It's usually just stringing in a few different combos, building up a meter, and then releasing your super Wung Fu attack, which is you could just like spam your bullets or do a big melee combo or a ground pound. So combat itself, I would probably give it like a B grade. It's not fantastic. Visually, it looks great. Like when you watch videos of this game and people are doing combat, you're like, wow, that looks really fun. But there's something just really hollow about it that didn't quite land with me. Like I said, doesn't necessarily mean that it's super bad. but it does get to the point where you're really overpowered. I found a gun about halfway through my first playthrough, and it's this one I'm using right now, and it was already upgraded to max level. It was an ultimate tier weapon, which is cool. So you expect an ultimate tier weapon to be really good. So when I finished the first playthrough and went into New Game Plus, I expected that maybe, you know, those caps would be raised, or maybe even, you know, I'd be able to upgrade the weapon further, or I'd be able to upgrade the rarities further. But no, if you have like a max level gear at the end of your first playthrough, that's it. You're as strong as you're going to get. So New Game Plus to me kind of didn't make sense. So that's kind of where we are on combat. Combat's pretty okay. It's not bad. I think once they patch the audio feedback for Melee, it's going to feel a lot better. So just, you know, keep that in mind if you're looking for a really rich combat game. Like I said, with the narrative and the story, it's pretty much non-existent. I tried for a couple days to really pay attention to it and go along with the narrator, but I mean, like I said, borderline incoherent story was put together here, which is really disappointing. But this was a 20-man team. I understand that, but a 5-man team made my game of the year so far, which is Valheim. I love Valheim. So you can't really go off of like a 20-man team made it. So let's excuse all the caveats. But I also don't want to just shit on what they did here, because it's clear to me that they really put something special together and were really passionate about it. But I just worry that the game really wasn't ready for prime time and probably needed a bit more time to be polished. And from the looks of it, the studio is going to keep polishing it and putting time into it, because I don't know that they'll like stockholder beholden or whatever, but it does look like they're going to be putting time into it. So that's good. So as far as it goes for Biomutant, I'd probably currently give it like a C+, like a C+ rating. This isn't going to be a mega in-depth review because there's been a lot of those already, and that's really not my wheelhouse, but just like a basic thoughts video for you guys here. So if you're looking for something that has like a rich narrative and a really lore-driven world, with good characters, memorable characters, then Biomutant's not going to be for you. But if you are looking for something that has a really pretty open world to explore and pretty fun combat, and honestly, a really decent crafting system. The crafting system is really fun in this, though you do hit your ceiling pretty quickly if you're playing. I think like I said, you'll probably hit as strong as you're going to be in about 20 hours. This is not a grinder's game. You will loot and you'll find stuff pretty quickly, and you'll be able to level up your stuff, and it feels satisfying, and you definitely feel character growth in combat through that. Then this will probably be a game for you if you're looking for something a little bit less story driven and just about, you know, blowing up some mice and running around a frankly gorgeous open world, because I will never take that away from this game. It's probably one of the most visually unique games I've played in, gosh, a long time. But I definitely would not hearken this to a Breath of the Wild, and I think that was disingenuous of the game director to do. So guys, hopefully this answers any questions y'all have. Any of you picking up Biomutant, if you're enjoying it, I'm not going to yuck your yum, man. Everybody likes different things, but this definitely left quite a bit to be desired for me personally. And hopefully as the devs improve the game and put out patches, if they change how New Game Plus works, I'll definitely jump back into it. But as it is, I'm probably not going to pick it up that much anymore, because I've already gone through 20 hours, did my full playthrough. I didn't do all the side questing and stuff because frankly, a lot of it felt very samey, and running around just looting areas and picking up boxes. There's really no point to it because my character is as strong as it's going to get. If I could find better loot in New Game Plus and every subsequent New Game Plus, I would put more hours into it, 100%. But as it is, probably not. So let me know what you guys think in the comment section below. Are you enjoying it? What are you hoping that the devs patch? And I'll be checking you guys out then. Y'all have a good one. Peace.